Hello, hello, hello. Can you guys hear me?
Can do.
All right.
Yes.
Sorry about that. Sorry for the delay. Some issues here uh, at the house that we had addressed. We just had the internet updated yesterday with the Wi-Fi expander. So I think we're ready to jump in. So sorry for running behind, but we have a great show for you guys today. Welcome to Bill Korman's Mindset Revolution every Friday at noon, straight up. Well, it's supposed to start at noon. And so we're excited to bring you, we have a special guest for you guys today. Thank you guys for hanging in there and being part of this. For those of you that are going on a journey, before I bring our special guest up, remember last week I put a challenge out there, right? You guys remember what that is? Everybody remember what the challenge is? Go ahead, Diane. I see you there. You're on mute.
Well, there is that. Uh, to upgrade our Zoom so that we are able to record every meeting that we have and have it critiqued and get you guys help.
Okay. Yep. That was one. That was for our team. On BKMR last Friday, I put out a challenge to everybody about the human capacity. I challenge you guys to do something.
I was moving.
Yeah, I know you guys were on the road moving. Anybody? All right. Well, the challenge doesn't work, right? If people are not paying attention and taking the journey. So, one of the powers of mindset transformation, which is what we're going on to help people overcome what their challenges are, is to be present, right, in the moment while you're doing it. Dr. Crane and I are going through an executive coaching training program on Wednesday nights. And one of the things that we learned from that is the importance of simply just changing one thing, right? Just change one thing and focus on that, not 12, because the human brain can't handle that. Just focus on one thing and repeat that thing over and over and over again, right? So again, if you're part of our team, part of our organization, shout out to Ms. Cherie Brown, who completed 30 days and now beyond that of a challenge, right? She shared with us the transformations that have happened along the journey, right? And also how tempted she was to quit, right, on that and stay before the 30 days was up. And now she's going to continue on because it takes 30 days to lock it in and 90 days to actually form the habit. And what I shared with everybody last week was focus on one thing to change, right? That was a challenge, and go at it with full authority and power that you have. You give yourself authority and power to change that one thing, because it just takes a decision, 30 days of doing it, right? Locks it in, 30 days, solidifies it. And in 90 days, well, it depends on which study you look at. Some studies say 62, 67, 90, we'll go with 90, right? 90 days to fully lock it in. So again, our challenge is, anybody's watching this on a replay on the Mindset Revolution podcast, which is will all be available on our YouTube channel podcast. That my challenge to each and every one of you is to commit to going on that journey. Just pick one thing that you want to change and put everything you got into it every single day, over and over and over again. Lock it in 30 days and make it a habit in 90 days. And what I shared last week was that if you look at the neuroscience behind it, the brain mapping, the neuroscience is that what happens is that the old groove, you're not replacing the old groove, you're creating a brand new groove. And then the old one just starts to fade away, right? A lot of times we're like, oh, I got to go out and eliminating this thing. No, create the new habit and the other one will go away. And that leads into this amazing. So you guys don't understand, because I get to spend a lot of time with them and you guys have no idea this level, the capacity this human being has to get, we'll keep it clean, get stuff done, right? Get stuff done. But it wasn't always like that, right? It wasn't always like that for him. Some of you know a story. Some of you to be watching this on a replay on the Mindset Revolution, you don't know what I'm talking about, but you will after he shares with you today how this one human being, right, at just barely over 30 years old, has been able to accomplish what 5 or 6 or 7 people couldn't accomplish in 100 years. And you'll hear when he shares his journey, all the certifications, the degrees he has, the businesses that he's owned, the impact that he's had, YouTube channels, connections, all the things that he's been able to do. Okay. His second book is about to come out. His first book, Crushed It, Flush the BS. Yeah, that stands for BS. You guys know what that means, right? Flush the BS, your belief system, right? So it's my extreme pleasure. I asked him if he would be a guest on our show here on Bill Korman's Mindset Revolution, and to be able to share his journey and to give us some things that we can do all collectively to get that mindset changed, to be able to start to live the life that we've always wanted to live. So, ladies and gentlemen, please unmute your mics. Give it up for the one and only Dr. Stephen Crane. Let's go.
Thank you so much for that, Bill.
Woo-hoo!
That is way more of an introduction than I need. So I really appreciate it. I know today's message is going to be super quick. One, we're quick on time, but I wanted to kind of leave a little bit of wiggle room for people to ask questions and to be engaged. Because just like Bill said, we gotta be engaged and actually to take something away from this. This is not a radio show in the background where you just turn it on and you're like, oh, cool, sounds are going on. Like, this is really meant to transform your life. And the message is very simple today. If you have read my book, I'm going to be talking about my book. I'm going to be talking about some stuff that's not in here, some stuff that is in here. Just go a little bit beyond what some people may know about my story. So let me share this. There we go. Flush the BS. Like I said, it's covering my book. But I want to start off with basically just letting everyone know that life is brutal. And that may sound kind of weird, like, oh crap, I thought I was coming here for a mindset change. This isn't a change in mindset. I believe that everything is brutal. I believe that life is very crappy to us sometimes. And what I'm here to say is you're entirely right. Life is brutal. Life does suck. Life has a lot of mean people. Life has a lot of stuff that we can't explain. Kids with cancer, that sucks, right? Anyone with cancer, that sucks. People dying in car wrecks, that sucks. People getting in accidents all the time. You know, murders, all these different things that happen. The world is very scary. You got people in high political offices all around the country, all around the world. Very scary. They do some weird stuff. You got people in underground islands that are doing some questionable things, right? That's scary. These are all real truths. But what's also true is how you interpret it. Life is brutal. No denying that. My story, for those of you that don't know, one, I grew up in poverty, didn't have anything, grew up very multicultural. I was the only, for those of you that know, like, I'm half Hispanic, half white. But for those that didn't know that, now you know. But I grew up in a very multicultural place. Like, I was the whitest person around. Even though I'm half and a mix, I was the whitest person. I grew up with every other nationality. It was a massive melting pot in the hotels, motels, and apartments that I grew up in all over the country. Dad was a bricklayer. Mom was an immigrant here. Didn't have anything growing up. I mean, like, nothing. Shot. Barely saw my dad, barely knew him growing up. He was constantly working 7 days a week, always gone, traveling, doing everything like that. My mom, she grew up, she had terrible illnesses, chronic illnesses that she suffered with forever. She was also deaf. So I grew up in a household without a TV, without radio, without music. I grew up in a completely silent household. I had to be my mom's ears growing up because she was deaf. And I was the one at age of 5 going into medical appointments and translating stuff for her. And so I say all this because if you look at that one snapshot, you're like, oh my God, you had a really rough life. Like that sucks. And you would be true. You'd be right. I did. And then if you fast forward into my middle school years and high school years, I was severely bullied, not like pushed, name called, no like actual knives pulled on me, people arrested, me put in protective custody, death threats, sexual abuse, molestations, you name it. That was my childhood. Then you go into high school, and then I had people again pull knives and do different things like that still, but now it was from teachers. Now I had teachers constantly parading me around, getting, hey, you, Stephen, get up to the front of the classroom. Hey, do this very embarrassing thing so that everyone can continue to mock you. Hey, I just want to let you know you're never going to amount to something. I don't know why you think like you're special, but you're pretty stupid actually. Here's your test scores. Okay, but I have an A in the class. Yeah, because something must be happening. What are you talking about? You're failing all of your exams, but you're doing really well on homework. I'm like, yeah, because I have test anxiety. I don't. I'm being told from you that I'm stupid in the classroom, but then when I go home, I'm in a somewhat positive environment and I'm able to control what I'm thinking about and I'm able to actually do my homework. That's why I'm learning this stuff. It's just on the exam date. Not only am I having to worry about embarrassment from you, but I'm also literally having to watch the room because I would be choked out, I'd be punched, I'd be kicked, I'd be constantly abused in classrooms. So yeah, my mind's not really on the test here, teach. you know, that's my life. So all throughout high school, I was constantly told I was never going to amount to anything. And then I was looking for an opportunity to escape. That's when I found the Marine Corps. Many people join the military for various reasons. Mine, yeah, it was for benefits. I was pretty logical. I'm like, wait a minute, you're going to pay for college? That's pretty cool. Oh, wait, I get to travel. Oh, wait, I get to build skills. Oh, wait, I get to get paid. Oh, wait, I get benefits. Okay, that sounds good to me. I mean, I don't know about you, but when you're 18, that sounds like a pretty good deal. Then couple that with the chip on my shoulder from growing up with a really bad background, not having a clear path in college, even though I did have collegiate scholarships in sports already lined up, I was not interested in school. When you go through the childhood that I went through with my schooling background, the last thing you want to do is spend another 4 years doing that. So I was like, yeah, that's not for me. I may be smart. At the time, I definitely didn't think it, but I need to do something else. So I joined the Marine Corps, and that was going to reinstill that healthy masculine energy in me because I grew up pretty much without a father. My mom, I basically took care of her. I was the man of the house, and it was not a good picture. So I was like, okay, I need to reclaim some of this energy. I think the Marine Corps can provide that. And it was so funny because I remember when the recruiter came to the house, I said, listen, I'm going to be really honest, and you're either going to think this is funny or this is a joke, or you're going to say, like, this is the guy for me. But and it was a Marine recruiter that came, right? And I said, is this the hardest branch? And he's like, what are you talking about? It's like, again, I told you, you're either going to think I'm funny or you're going to think I'm really this guy. Is this the hardest branch? And he's like, unequivocally, yes. And I was like, why? And he said, well, not too many people sign up to go get blown up. And I was like, what do you mean? It's like, well, look at the Air Force. They're pretty safe, right? They fly. Look at the Navy. They're on the water. Pretty safe. Army, pretty comparable, right? They go. But what the Army does is they secure the places that we take over. But Marines, we're killers. We go in first. We're tip of the spear. We're the ones that get blown up. I said, okay, that sounds good to me. Let's go. And the recruiter was like, all right, this is my guy. So from there, going into the Marine Corps, my my status, my self-confidence just continued to rise. Every single challenge that came through, running miles and miles. I did cross country in high school. Okay, that's not that big of a deal. Doing a bunch of like physical labor and stuff like that. I was a laborer at 10 years old, working on job sites with my dad sometimes because he wanted to show me you need to do anything else in life other than be a bricklayer because this is the stuff that I deal with every day. And so I was like, okay, yeah, I'm definitely not doing that. So the manual labor I was used to, the running I was used to, the screaming, the bullying, I was used to that. There was really no challenge in boot camp. And I truly do mean that. There wasn't any challenge because I had already overcome so much. But then when I looked around the squad bay, we started with 100 people in our squad bay. And when we graduated, we only had about 86 people. 14 people dropped out. I was to me, I was like, how in the hell could you drop out of boot camp? Like, this is dumb. All you do is just listen to the freaking three people that are screaming and running around. If they say tie your shoes, I sir, tie your shoes. If they say go drink water, you go drink water. I sir, drink water. It's simple. What is the problem here? And then when we would talk, right at night, when you're not supposed to be talking, when we would talk, I recognized, holy crap, half of this squad bay had a really bad upbringing. And the other half of this squad bay, they came from the richest white privileged families. I mean, they were set. They had no reason to be here. So I instantly recognized, wow, that's a massive disparity. And then that also kind of reinstilled in me life is brutal for these people, but life is also brutal for the people that are getting kicked out because they signed their life away. They said, "Hey, I'm Uncle Sam's property right now. I'm gonna go to Paris Island. I'm gonna get beat up. I'm gonna go through this, and if I don't make it, well, I don't know what my future is gonna hold, but let's see what happens." That was the other side, and I felt so bad for the people that were getting kicked out because it's easy. How could you not make it? So that was another iteration. And then all throughout my military time, I kept seeing this over and over again. People that came from fire and brimstone, people that came through actual hardships, thought life was a breeze. And then other people that didn't have those hardships, they struggled. And it was kind of comical at certain times. Like, you're upset that someone pinned you up against the wall and is choking you. Shall I take you back to when I was in sixth grade? That was my daily occurrence. Like my neck's pretty strong now. I'm good with that. And they're like, oh, I would never let someone disrespect me. Okay, are you gonna fight them? Like, what are you gonna do here? You keep talking a bunch of talk, but you never actually do anything. You run your mouth, but there's no action. And again, I found that all throughout my time in the military. Now, here's where the real rubber meets the road for my story, which was getting out of the Marine Corps. I didn't plan on getting out of the Marine Corps. I wanted to do 20 years. I wanted to retire. In fact, I wanted to go into federal law enforcement. I wanted to become an FBI agent, CIA, DEA, ATF. I wanted to go into an alphabet soup. I wanted to play Bill. I wanted to do that. Like Bill's life prior to everything that he's done, that's exactly what I wanted to do. And so I went, got my degrees, got my Secret Service signatures, got my marshals, got all these different things, went to different trainings, and even applied for CID, which is Criminal Investigations Division, or NCIS. I applied and I actually got accepted. It took me having to retake different tests and go through different examinations, but I got accepted. And I was ecstatic. I was like, great, now I can actually enjoy the rest of my career in the Marine Corps. I can do my 20, I can get out, I can go be a Bill in the GS world, and everything's going to be awesome. Until it wasn't. Because I got accepted, but then the next challenge came, which was let's do a medical examination on you. Let's do a psychological examination on you. I was like, okay, that shouldn't be too hard. We do that every year. Well, this medical exam and physical exam was unlike anything else. It was a hard exam. It was not. Are you wearing protection? You wearing your seatbelt? You staying under the legal limit when you're driving and drinking? All right, we're good. Have a great day. This was deep x-rays, MRIs, blood work, a whole bunch of workup. And then the psychological exam, never had one of those, never thought I really needed one. But when you're working child pornography cases as a judge advocate, and you're working in the legal office and you're an admin and you're processing all these bad people out, and you start looking at these things every single day, what do I always say? You are what you consume. When you start consuming these things every single day, it messes with your psyche, whether you realize it or not, because this is what you're consuming, this is what you're intaking. So every single day I would come into work for 12 hours and this is all I would be in. So that has an effect on you. So when I went into the psychological exam, they're like, "Oh, you're pretty messed up." I was like, "What do you mean? We're all messed up. We're Marines. We signed up for this. We're the people that get blown up." And they said, "Yeah, no, like you're really, really, wow. Okay, this is bad. Here's your paperwork." Okay. Now I got the results back from all the physical scans. Degenerative disc disease in a 21-year-old, unheard of. Broken foot that I've been walking around on for 4 years, unheard of. All these different things: neck problems, back problems, slip discs, herniated discs, anything in the world, broken feet, ruptured meniscus. What else we got? Hearing loss, PTSD, major depressive disorder, generalized anxiety disorder, auditory processing disorder, torn rotator cuff. Yeah, we can just keep going down the list. Hemorrhoids, IBS, GERD, you name it, asthma. Yeah, all of it. Check, 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 check. And they said, "How in the world have you been walking around like this in the military and continuing your training and doing all this stuff?" I said, "Because I've always been like this." And they said, "No, obviously your pre-medical exam was fine. This shows that over the last 3 years in the Marine Corps, you've gotten really bad." I said, "Yeah, but I've been through way worse." And to them, it didn't make sense. To me, that was my natural programming. I wasn't being choked out anymore. I wasn't having a knife drawn on me. I wasn't being molested. I wasn't under someone's control constantly. All these things that I dealt with, my life was perfectly good. What you talking about? You're saying that I'm messed up and you're saying these things impact me, and I'm telling you, no, they don't impact me because I've been through so much worse. Unfortunately, they denied my package. They denied everything. They said, "You can't go to FLETC, you can't become a federal law enforcement officer, you're barred, you've got too much stuff wrong with you. Here you go." And so I had to make a decision. Do I get out on my own terms? Do I push for a medical retirement? What do I do? And so I go to my career planner and I said, "Listen, here's the situation. What are your thoughts?" And he said, "Well, based on everything you see here, I would just go ahead and get out, but you can certainly bark up the tree for a medical retirement." I said, "Well, you're saying that my career path, what I got my degree in, what I trained all these years for, my hopes and prayers, what I thought my purpose in life was, you just are pulling it out from underneath me. So no, screw that. I want a medical retirement. You messed me up. Now I can't do anything. Medical retirement." They said, "All right, go bark up that tree." So I go to the flight surgeon. I say, "Hey, doc, hook me up. Like, what's going on here?" He said, "Oh, 100%. No, you meet every criteria in the book. We'll go ahead and get this processed." So it's 2 6-month stints. The first 6 months, you live at medical and you try to get better. They rehabilitate you. And then the other 6 months is when you're actually processing out of the military. You're getting your retirement orders, you're getting your packages, you're getting all of your stuff ready to go so that you can be medically retired. I did the first 6 months and I surely did not get better. I just, these things don't get better with time. So I did my 6 months, and then 3 days prior to me getting out, I get a call from a GS-14 at Quantico saying, "Hey, I don't know how to explain this to you, but you're just going to go ahead and get out. What do you mean? Like, oh, my medical retirement got pushed up? No, 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 no medical retirement, no nothing. You're just going to go ahead and separate. Well, when am I going to separate? Oh, in 3 days. That's your EAS. What do you mean? I can't do that. I've got bills. I've got everything. Like, what? And he said, yeah, 3 days, pack up your stuff and have a great life. So now, 6 months prior, you rip out my entire life. You make me feel worthless. Now, 6 months later, you're telling me, oh, you're not even going to get a retirement. You're not going to get any benefits. You're not going to get anything. You're just going to be on the street. How do you feel? How do you think that makes someone feel when one thing after the next thing, after the next thing, after the next thing happens, all within a short amount of time? Doesn't do too good for your psyche, doesn't do too good for your physical health, doesn't do too well for your family. Needless to say, I became a stereotypical homeless veteran, lost everything, and was on the street. Lived out of my car, bounced couches for 18 months, and that was my life. And what's funny is going back to what's on the screen, life is brutal. That's just one snapshot. Life is brutal. My childhood was brutal. My middle school was brutal. My high school was brutal. My military training was brutal. My exit from the Marine Corps was brutal. And I could even keep going many, many years, even up to now. Life is brutal. And every single person on this call understands life sucks. But it boils down to what I call GAILs. Gremlins, assumptions, interpretations, and limiting beliefs. Your GAILs control your belief system, your BS, that thing that you need to flush out. It controls your BS. And once you understand what your belief system is comprised of, now you're able to actually go and do the work. Because on the screen, who's ever had someone bully them? Every single person in here. Nothing new. Right? Who has thought someone meant something else when they were talking to them? Many people. We all have our own interpretations of what happens and our assumptions when we hear someone talk to us. How many times have you been at your cubicle and you get an email on Teams or something that says, hey, HR wants to have a conversation with you. You're like, all right, let me go ahead and just start packing up. I know what this one is. Because you assume as soon as HR wants to have a conversation, you're gone. But maybe that's not it. Maybe they just want to have a conversation with you because you're getting a promotion. I've had that happen a couple times. And I said, yeah, next time, can you not do that? Can you just say, hey, good news, come here? Can you not just say HR wants to have a conversation? But that's an assumption that we make. Every single thing we've all dealt with. So the first thing I want to cover is gremlins. What is a gremlin? A gremlin is that devil on your shoulder. A gremlin is that thing in your ear that constantly is talking to you. Or it could be an actual physical manifestation of someone that's constantly negative. They're negative Nancy's in life. They constantly are whispering things to you, bringing you down, making you doubt yourself, and making you want to turn around. In the book of Numbers, anyone's ever read the Bible, you've got the Israelites, and what happened? They were slaves. They were free. They had their whole life ahead of them. And they were going and going and going. But then it got to the point where they just kept going and they're like, you know what? This ain't for me. I'd rather go be a slave again. I'm cool back there. I at least knew what was going on back there. What is it? The saying goes, the devil I know is better than the devil I don't know sometimes. That's a gremlin. That's someone talking to you in your ear, whispering, saying, hey, just go back to that job. You know, you read the books that say burn the bridges. Nah, you always need to keep a lifeline just in case. So just go back to that job because it's simple. It's what you know. Even though You were praying not too long ago, saying, give me an opportunity, give me something to free me. God provided that opportunity. He freed you from that captivity, that situation, that turbulence you were going through. It was provided to you. There was no instruction manual given. You didn't ask for that. You simply asked, give me a way out. And the way out was provided, and you did it. And then when things got rough, when things got scary, and you're like, I don't really like this anymore. At least I can always just go back to the cage. We all do that. That's another example of a gremlin. Things in your ears that aren't real. The next thing is assumptions. Assumptions are all around us. The easiest way to overcome assumptions that you're making is what else could be true? What else could be true? Bill and I, like you were saying, we're in an executive coaching program, and there's a point where you're actually coaching other people. In a sense, you're asking questions, and one of the easiest questions I love to ask people is, what else could be true? AKA, what's another way of looking at that? Again, the little Teams notification that says HR wants to have a conversation with you. If my assumption is I'm getting fired, you're entirely correct. And there's nothing that I can say that'll change your opinion. A man convinced against his will is of the same opinion still. There's nothing I can do to change that. You're the one that made that assumption, and you have all the evidence behind you. You can find anything. Seek and ye shall find. It's not just for anything, biblical, it's for life. If you're seeking bad things, you're going to find bad things. If you seek good things, you're going to find good things. It's simple. So whatever you're assuming, what else could be true? Just think about that next time you have an assumption pop up. Next one is interpretations. Oh my goodness, interpretations are some of the evilest little GAILs out there. Because interpreting what happens is everything. I cannot stress that enough. Like, if there was one thing, you can get rid of all the other GAILs. The interpretations is your mindset. That's all it is. Everything that happened to me, it did happen to me because life is brutal. Life sucks. It's mean. It's scary. There's bad people out there. It's evil. Life is evil. And you know what? I am 100% validated. Bill always says math and science irrefutable. It's irrefutable. I have more than enough data to prove to you that this world is messed up. And it wants to just destroy you. And you cannot convince me otherwise. But if I flip it, if I reframe my position on the world and I simply say, life happened for me, what does that now do? It does a lot. If you think about it, what about my childhood? My dad wasn't around. My mom was chronically and critically ill her whole life. She was deaf. And I had to take care of everything. That happened for me. Because who here raised their parents? I can say that. You can't say that. Check one for Steven. In middle school, who was constantly bullied, who was constantly beat up, who was molested, who was constantly just assaulted every single day of their middle school years. Oh, you weren't? Check one for me. Want to know why? Because I'm stronger than you. I've been through more. I have more life experience. Check one for me. What about high school? What about the Marine Corps? What about my separation? Who here's been homeless? Could you actually be homeless for 18 months and figure it out? Do you know the resources? Do you know the soup kitchens? Do you know how to get a shower at a local church like Bill does? Do you know these things? Probably not, because you've never been in that position. Check one for Stephen. So all these things, when you start looking at it and you start interpreting things are happening for you, you start recognizing, wow, God actually really does love me because he made me super special. He really, really, really loves me because he gave me all these challenges. And he gave them to me, and I conquered them. And he's like, great. So now I can give you another hard challenge. Great. Now I can give you an even harder challenge. Great. I can even give you a harder one. Think of it like a bucket of problems, right? God has to pour them out on the world, but who is asking for those problems? Who is looking, saying, whatever you put my way, this is going to be a life lesson. I'm going to become stronger because of it. Not too many people have that mindset. So the more of that bucket gets emptied out on you, the more you're able to level up and the more you're able to accumulate in skills and life experience from a very early age. And that works for you. It doesn't work against you. It always works for you. Another thing on interpretations, and then we'll move on, is this feeling of excitement, anxiety versus excitement and anxiety, or nervousness and butterflies. If you think about it, it's the same physiological effect. When you're anxious, what happens? Your palms get sweaty, your knees start getting a little shaky, you start getting the jitters, you start stuttering, you start being like, I don't know what's going on, but this is not good, right? You start feeling really tight. What happens when you're super excited? What happens at your birthday party? What happens when you know you're about to get a reward for something? Same thing happens. You start getting a little giddy like a little kid, and you're like, right? You don't know what's going to happen. You know something's good coming, right? It's like a little kid on Christmas. I don't know what's under the tree, but I know something's there. I really just hope it's the right thing. Is that nervousness? Or is that excitement? Same physiological reactions. It's how you interpret them. You go out on your first date. You got butterflies in your stomach. You hope they like you. You hope you don't say the wrong thing. Is that anxiety or is that excitement? It's all in the way that you interpret your situation. And lastly, limiting beliefs. Limiting beliefs are big. Bill talks about them all the time. I talk about them. Limiting beliefs are everything. But a simple story to remember when it comes to limiting beliefs is the elephant and the rope. As the story goes, there was a man that went to a like a little farm out in Africa, and he went up to the elephants, and he noticed a rope tied around their leg, and it was tied to like a little yardstick. And he starts looking. He's like, "Huh? Well, that's not going to stop the elephant." That doesn't make sense. Like if the elephant wanted to move, obviously he could take the little dog stick and move. Like he just take the stick with him. He's massive. Why is that little rope chaining that elephant? Doesn't make sense. So he goes to the trainer and he's like, "What's going on here? Like, does the elephant actually believe like that thing's holding him back?" And the trainer says, "Absolutely." And the guy says, "Well, why? That's obviously not true." And he's like, "Yes, but from a very early age, as soon as they're able to walk on their own, we put a tiny little string around their leg because that when they're super young, that rope will absolutely tie them down and they can't go anywhere. We just never remove it." And how many times in our own life does that happen? We have invisible ropes around us that were there from when we were children, and we've never challenged it. We've never said, well, what could be? We just always assumed from our interpretations and limiting beliefs that that string is there to hold us back. When in reality, we could just move the string. We could just take it off, or we could just truck forward with it. But because it's ingrained in us, that's a limiting belief that we have. And it's very, very, very difficult to get rid of limiting beliefs unless you go out and take a chance, unless you go and actually accomplish something. Alex Hormozy is always a big one in talking about if you want to know what to post, go do some really cool shit. record it, and now you have a story. Oh, and by the way, now you're going to have an endless amount of customers because you actually accomplished something with your life, and other people want to do that. Easiest way to success. Go do something. Go do something cool. Go do a 30-day challenge. People came and remember what Bill said from a week ago. But then you got people taking 30-day challenges. Little things, little habits every single day done consistently makes and breaks a person. So GAILs, they build your BS. You may be the sum total of all of your actions. We've always heard that, but you will always the sum total of the stories you tell yourself. So if you're constantly telling yourself the world is out to get me, the world hates me, I'm not made for entrepreneurship, the life insurance industry isn't for me, this and this and this and this, you're entirely correct. And I promise you, myself, Bill, no one else in the entire world can convince you otherwise. Because at the end of the day, you are telling yourself that story. That's why affirmations in the mirror are powerful. Yeah, they're pretty stupid when you start doing them, but when you start recognizing the madness behind the scenes, you realize, oh crap, I need to do that more. So I'll leave everyone with this. Life isn't fair, but your next thought, your next feeling, the next choice that you make, it's yours. It's always yours. It's always been yours, and it will forever be yours because you are the one that can flush your BS. No one else. That's my time. Bill, back over to you.
Let's go. That's powerful, brother. I'm over here like a page and a half of notes on that subject. This insane. So real quick, we got a couple minutes. Obviously, we start a little bit late. Just want to be respectful of people's time. If you have to drop off, we definitely understand that. But I wanted to open up, and so you guys have the man, the myth, the legend, Dr. Stephen Crane here. He just shared his life story and journey. And again, I don't know anybody on here. Maybe some of you watching this podcast on replay, maybe you've had some rough life like that. But again, we get to choose what happens next, right? So the question I have, I'm going to open up to you guys. What kind of questions do you have for Dr. Stephen Crane? This is an opportunity for you to, if you're struggling with something, if you're feel like you're hitting the lid, you got limiting beliefs, you find it difficult to get off the couch, as we challenged you guys yesterday to get off the freaking bench and get into the game of life. If you feel like you're being held back or you're struggling with that, then I would unmute your mic and just ask a question about that. Because I can promise you that if you don't ask the questions, get curious about it, and find the answers, nothing's going to change. So I'll open up real quick, see if anybody has any questions.
I'd just like to say, Stephen, that you have made me feel much better about the situation we're going through this month. So thank you very much. You are an incredibly strong person. I love the book. I love the talk. So thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you.
Hi, good morning, Dr. Crane. Hey, Stephen.
What's
This is
up?
Victor. Hey, how you doing? I was just going to ask, I can definitely relate with the story, going through many things. Would you say, I I had to circle the word along the way, decision. Would you say that those first steps you took each day and going through the different challenges that keep coming, did it start with just that decision over and over? And then how did you build that statement that kept you going and moving forward? And where did the strength come from?
It was daily decisions,
Mhm.
daily simple decisions. I didn't set out to conquer the world. I didn't set out to go get PhDs. I didn't set out to do everything and start 8 companies. I didn't set out to do any of this. My goal every day was just something simple. Military are known for struggling with purpose, and they constantly have this urge to feel purposeful. And if they don't have purpose, then 22 a day happens. And there's a ton of theories out there on why, certain purposes are better and all these different things. It's very simple. What do you want your purpose today be? Well, I want it to be getting out of bed and brushing my teeth. You know what? If that's something that's challenging for you, but you accomplish that, good freaking for you. That's something that you did that's uncomfortable, but you did something. So there you go. And then you just do that every single day. Over time, it accumulates. It's so simple, but it's the hardest thing to do is just to make a decision every day to find a purpose, no matter how stupid or minuscule it is, but then to actually accomplish that. Because how many times do people wake up and they say that they're going to go do something and then life got in the way? Oh, I had this accident. Oh, this thing at home happened. And it's like, no. So I guess every time something happens, you just give up. Then I promise you, just go ahead and roll over in your bed because life ain't for you. But if you recognize every day I have a goal, I have a mission, and you're going to figure out a way to accomplish that, you are already ahead of half the population. That's the easiest answer.
That's powerful. Anybody else before we wrap up? Awesome. Well, Dr. Crane, I appreciate you so much, brother. Thank you for accepting the challenge of going on this journey of life, because if you hadn't accepted that and gone through those things, I wouldn't have the blessing of knowing you and us working together, building, companies together, going on this journey of building one of the companies, Built for Life Financially, the #1 company in the world that everybody will compare themselves to. And that's a calling, from God. But I wouldn't have had that honor and privilege of going on this journey, have ever met you and go on this journey together. And I thank you for taking time. I know your schedule's super busy to come share with us here on Bill Korman's Mindset Revolution. And for those of you that didn't get to see this live and you watch this on a recording, my challenge to you is pick up Dr. Crane's book. First, listen to the message, but listen to it, what he shared, without any interruptions around. Do it at night, or if you're driving in your car, do it with no other distractions. Listen to the story, listen to the journey, and ask yourself the question, have you even remotely gone through any of that stuff? But here's the thing, we don't dismiss your struggle. Your struggle is your struggle. It's real. It's real to you. And my challenge to you then is, what are you going to do about it? What are you going to do about it? Right? Is it that life is happening to you, or life happened for you? Right? And then you get to make that decision. So, and then pick up Dr. Crane's book, read through the book. There's a lot of very, very powerful, there's a lot of emotion in it, but a lot of strategies for you to follow Dr. Stephen Crane on his social media, to be able to reach out to him if you need anything. By the way, if there's any veterans out there that are listening to this, he has an amazing company called 360 Veteran. They do backflips. They go out of their way, do everything humanly possible to help all of our veterans get their just due and what they're entitled to. So again, that's another one of his companies that he owns. So please connect with him on that. And again, if you know a veteran, that just ask them, hey, have you been taken care of? Did they do what you needed to do? Did you get your disability rating? So you have any questions, I can connect you with a company, 360 Veteran, they can help you. So again, Dr. Crane, brother, I love you, man. I appreciate you coming on here to share with this journey we're on, this movement called Mindset Revolution, to help everybody, every single individual around the world have breakthrough, to know that you're not alone. We're in this together. We're all in this together. You're not alone. So God is given us a calling for this movement, and we're not going to stop until people and from every walk of life around the world feels empowered to go change their life, make decisions for them and their family that are going to move the bar, just one day at a time, one day at a time. That's it for us. You guys have an amazing day. Take care. God bless.